Hello and welcome to UC Sports. I'm Brandon Carney alongside Will Richardson. With the year winding down, you might think we don't have a lot to talk about. You could not be more wrong. Will, what do we have lined up?
Well, with the UConn women's basketball team coming off of the national championship, we're going to have a final recap of their season and how it's gone for them. We also have women's lacrosse going on. Brandon, what else we got?
UConn baseball wrapped up a series with UCF, taking 2 or 3 from the Knights. And UConn football was also in action as they had their annual spring game. Our own Fatmir Alickolli was at the game. Let's see what he had to say.
Brian Jones, Jeremy Davis, Chandler Wood, all crucial leaders, part of last year's teams, all gone now. Which means this new look UConn team is looking for a new crop of players to come up and assume that big gap that those star players left. And it begins with the main position on the field, the quarterback. The competition is now down to the 2 players, junior quarterback Tim Boyle and sophomore Brian Sheriff. Today, Brian had the slight advantage, throwing an impressive touchdown pass, showing great mobility on the field, but Coach Bob Diaco says it's still anyone's position.
We can't declare a starter for Villanova because we have 2 more players that are going to join in fall camp. Now I'm sure that we'll know, right away, because now we have some real benchmarks and some parameters, and then they kind of tilted in that final week, and definitely Bryant has separated himself from Tim, and I think that's the buzzword, him and his game. So it was nice to see him settle in and really throw those touch passes. He throws great on the move, and he's great on the move. You got a chance to see that. And he can move. He can really move. So he's a threat that way. And I thought Timmy played well. He's getting better. We're watching little different things, not necessarily the ball in the air, whether it's complete or incomplete. If you go back and you watch, if you tape some of it, you'll see a little bit more bend in his ankles and knees and waist because he feels better. So he's finally healthy for the first time. His drops are so much cleaner. His weight balance and weight distribution as he throws is so much better because of the stuff that he corrected at the end of last season in December, January.
Better for the team if they did one quarterback because the whole offense knows what you're getting, when the quarterback's in there. So
last year you experienced it with Chandler.
Yeah, and that was to benefit me. I think Coach Diaco did that, which I appreciate because it got me more reps. But I think what's best for the team right now is for one quarterback to be out there and ride or die with him and see what he can do out there.
Bob Diaco has a lot of decisions to make this coming summer, but one thing is clear: he is excited about this new group of talented players, and he is ready for a brand new season to hopefully improve on a terrible 2-10 season last year. From UCTV Sports, I'm Fatmir Alickolli.
The Mechanicals are a group of men in the show. They're the common folk. They are the group of working class trying to achieve a better clientele in the handicraft trades that they are a part of. And in order to do this, they have to put on a play for the Royals of Athens.
The Mechanicals are so funny because they believe what they're doing in, and they have a goal. They shouldn't be on stage. They can't act. They can't sing. They want to win the king's approval so they can make money and they can have a meal at the end of the day.
They are the most endearing part of the show. These guys work paycheck to paycheck, and this is their chance, their one chance. Acting is their ticket into this, and I think that desperate times call for desperate measures. That's where the highest and I think the best comedy comes out.
And welcome back. I'm here alongside my guest star analysts, Ivy Hoymoune and David P. Stein. How you guys doing today? You guys doing all right?
Great. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for asking. So before we get into women's lacrosse, we wanted to give you guys a quick recap of the women's basketball team in their national championship. They won the championship last week at the Amalie Arena in Tampa, beating rival Notre Dame for the second straight year, winning this game by a final score of 63-53. It was UConn's 10th national championship in 30 years, which is a remarkable feat. Breanna Stewart won the Most Outstanding Player of the Year award again for the third straight year. she's looking to become one of the first players, if not the first player, to win 4 straight national championships and 4 most outstanding players. So the team got back on campus last Wednesday. They had the parade on campus for all the students and for the faculty here. Then they had a parade on Sunday in Hartford for the rest of the state to come and see. It's a great event. All in all, great season for the UConn Huskies. They finished 38-1, put up some historic numbers while doing it. They averaged about 40 points more per game than their opponents and just destroyed pretty much every team that they played this season. But that's going to wrap it up for our coverage of women's basketball this year. Now we're going to move to a sport that's currently in season right now, women's lacrosse. So the team is 8-5 this season with a 5-0 record at home. So, Ivy, I'll come to you first. What's your thoughts on the team so far?
I think they're playing great so far. I mean, after an early exit last year in the Big East semifinals, right now they're still undefeated at home. Basically, their only losses have come against the top-tier teams. We lost to Syracuse, lost to James Madison, had a really close loss against UMass. But right now, they seem to be getting in stride. They just came off a 4-game winning streak before losing to Vanderbilt on Sunday, unfortunately. But I mean, I think right now they're exactly where they want to be.
Definitely. They have a game coming up tomorrow against Georgetown. So, David, I'll come to you. Who are some of the key players for the team?
Well, right now you got to look at forwards or attackers like Emily Anderson and Carly Palmucci, and as well Kate Finkelstein. Also Grace Nolan, rookie star for them, who's just picked up her 3rd Rookie of the Week award of the season. So definitely those are some key players. And as you just alluded to, definitely an emotional loss against the in their previous game. However, going into that game, they did play and won 4 in a row and 7 out of their previous 8 games. So it's a team that has done pretty well as of late.
Definitely. Ivy, you've seen a couple of the games in person. What do you get the impression of the team when you watch them in person? How do you think they perform?
I think really their junior squad leadership is coming together right now. Carly Palmucci, Allison Fazio, Jacqueline Jordan. I think the attackers and the midfielders they're leading the team. Besides them, seniors Kat Finkelstein and Emily Anderson, they're just goal-scoring machines. They get the ball whenever they get it. It just seems like they never miss. So I mean, it's looking like a really strong attack right now.
Definitely. Well, they got a couple more games for the rest of the season, but they have a big game coming up this weekend at home against Florida. So I'll start with David, and I'll go to Ivy. What's your prediction for the game this weekend?
Well, it's definitely going to be a tough matchup against Florida, number 9 ranked Florida. And you know what? If they're going to be successful, it's going to have to be offense is going to have to be spread out, and that's what they've done all season, and that's what's allowed them to have some success. So if they can do that, I see them hopefully coming out on top, but in a close, low-scoring game, let's say 9-7.
9-7. That's a low-scoring game for you, David?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
It's all lacrosse here, not football or basketball.
Right.
I know UConn's the basketball capital of the world, but we're not talking basketball right now.
Right, absolutely. Ivy, what about you? What's your prediction?
I mean, Florida's absolutely tough. I mean, just like UConn, they've only lost to top teams. They've only lost to North Carolina, Maryland, Syracuse. I mean, to shut down Florida, their only chance is to shut down Shannon Gilroy. She's unbelievable. She has 57 goals and 20 assists this year. She averages the 4th highest goals per game. Like in their loss to Maryland, she was held to only 2 goals and 0 assists. So if UConn is able to shut her down and prevent her from getting her teammates into the game, I think UConn has a really good chance to beat the best opponent they see on their home field where they haven't lost yet. So hopefully they can pull off a meaningful victory and prove that they deserve to be in the tournament. My prediction is, I have no exact score, but I do predict that this will be the best win they have all season. And hopefully they could continue that momentum into the Big East tournament at home.
So you said you didn't have an exact score, but if you had to just pick a number on, you said UConn would win. So how many goals do you think UConn wins by? Since you don't have an exact score, do you think 1, 2?
I think UConn has not shown that they've won close games. Usually, their games are either big blowout games, 18-6, 18-8. They've shown like in close games they haven't won many of those. So I think this will be the first close game that they win. Something like David said, and maybe in the lower ones like 10-8, 11-9, something like that. So hopefully they can win their first close game.
So 9-7, and let's say 2 goals for you. So both of you guys are on the same page for that.
We have no money on it, don't worry.
So. well, you wouldn't want to get in trouble with the NCAA.
Of
But
course
that
not.
wraps it up for us here. Stick around. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break.
You know, it's work like that. That's why the chicks dig me, I'll tell you.
You know me. Would I let you down? Come here and hug me.
Any luck finding the TV head guy?
Nope.
I'm sorry. I thought you were someone else.
TV head guy!
Hey, what's that box doing over there?
What's in the box? Back to work.
I don't want to believe it.
He's gone, Devin. We have to move on.
Just can't shake the feeling that he's still out there somewhere.
Extreme ways are back again. Extreme places I didn't know. I broke everything new again.
Welcome back to UC Sports. The UConn men's basketball team has some work to do this offseason in their efforts to fill out their roster for next year. With Ryan Boatwright, Pat Lenahan, and Dan Guest graduating, and freshman forward Rakeem Lubin transferring, Kevin Ollie and company have some scholarships to fill. While 2 of those spots have been filled by 4-star recruits Jalen Adams and Stephen Enoch, UConn is looking to land some transfers as well. Among them is Cornell forward Sean Miller, who will be visiting UConn on April 17th. Miller was first-team All-Ivy League and averaged 16.8 points and 8.5 rebounds per game last season. Another option is Providence's Tyler Harris, younger brother of the Orlando Magic's Tobias Harris. Tyler is a 6'9" forward who averaged about 10 points per game last year and could definitely give the Huskies a nice scoring boost. Both players will be immediately eligible and have 1 season of eligibility remaining. So if you see any of those guys around campus, give them a muffin basket or something. They'll greatly help out the team next year. While men's basketball is preparing for next season, UConn baseball is in the middle of theirs. They traveled to Orlando for a series against UCF. Our own Anthony DiBernardo and Cheyenne Baker were at the games. We'll see what they had to say.
It's been awfully quiet this weekend at J. Bergman Field as the home crowd of the UCF Knights have had very little to cheer about, as the visiting UConn Huskies were able to take the first 2 games of this 3-game set, outscoring their opponents 22-10. Of course, UConn could not complete the sweep. They dropped the last game on Sunday by a score of 5-1. The UConn Huskies were carried heavily by their pitching. Their 2 top guys, Carson Cross and Anthony Kay, took the first 2 games in this series, only giving up 2 runs combined, 1 of them earned. Anthony Kay had a solid game on Saturday. He went the distance, a complete game, 9 strikeouts. Carson Cross on Friday opened the game, gave the UCF fans nothing to cheer about, only 1 earned run, as UCF was just silent. Their bats completely silent. this being one of the stronger hitting teams in the American Conference. On the other side, the UConn Huskies were hitting the lights out of the ball. They outscored the UCF Knights this series 22-10. Of course, only one earned run in this final game of the three-game series, but they scored 15 in the second. Max McDowell hit a home run. Brian Danielle hit his first home run of the season. On Friday, Vinny Sienna led the way with 3 hits. They had a great game. They had a great series overall.
The games were great, hitting the crap out of the ball and making defensive plays, but you always want to try and get that last one, get that sweep. We've struggled with that this year a bunch, and it still stings even though we won the weekend. Just go to work tomorrow. We have an off day. It's a good time to get a lift in and fix some things that guys might want to work on, and just go in and play hard.
I thought we had a good approach offensively. I think for the most part all weekend. I thought we did a good job with our bats. It was. You're going up against a really good offense, and I thought for 2 days our offense, went toe to toe with them pretty well. And then today, they look like the offensive club, and we kind of took a back seat. But a lot of that had to do with the guy on the mound.
The Huskies finished this series now 22-13 on the season, 5-4 in conference play. Of course, this road trip is not over yet, as they will travel to Fairfield University later in the week, and then Bryant later in the week as well, to get ready for their home series against ECU. From J. Bergman Field in Orlando, Florida, I'm Anthony DiBernardo, and this is UC Sports.
And welcome back. I'm now joined by Anthony DiBernardo. Anthony, you were at the games over the weekend. What did UConn do particularly well against UCF?
Well, they took a 2-game set against the 12th-ranked team in the country on the road. So that right off the bat, they took the first 2 games. That's particularly well. You have to comment on the fact that they won the first 2 games. They pitched tremendously well. They scored in the first inning in all 3 games, including the loss on Sunday. That needs to be commended. When you get out in front early on a team that hits as well as UCF does, it just factors in to how many wins they've gotten off this season. But particularly well, this team is carried by their pitching, and it was certainly nowhere. It was definitely there the entire weekend, starting with Carson Cross. Husky ace is absolutely phenomenal. He is 7-1 on the season. He got the win on Friday night. He took the first game of the set. Then you had Anthony K, who is, he's got a fitting name for a pitcher, K. It just works that way. He had 9 strikeouts. The 2 of them, they're arguably the best 1-2 punch in the country. And when you have those 2 guys on the mound shutting down an offensive unit like UCF's, there's really no stopping this Husky team.
Now, as far as Cross and K, go, they've both been pitching so well this season. What do you make of how well they've done?
Well, like I said, arguably the best 1-2 punch in the country. The 2 of them together have the 2 best ERAs in the entire American Conference among all starting pitchers. Anthony K has a 1.01 ERA, and Carson Cross has a 1.44 ERA. It's just unheard of. Carson Cross is 3rd in the nation in strikeouts with 79. That leads the American 3rd in the country. There's only 2 other people that have better strikeouts than him. Their walk to strikeout ratio, Carson Cross is 79-15, Anthony K is 66-14. They've both pitched over 60 innings pitched. They're just 2 phenomenal pitches. They have great breaking balls. They have great off-speed stuff that can just throw off any hitter in the country. And then they have phenomenal fastballs that can get up in the low 90s. And for 2 college pitchers, low 90 fastball, there's very few hitters that can catch up to that.
Pitching, obviously a strong suit. But if you could pinpoint one thing the Huskies can improve on, what would you say?
Well, obviously, it's hard to say one thing that they definitely need to work on in general. But for starters, the fact that they weren't able to close out the series and get the sweep against UCF is a big red flag. They've had some trouble closing out sweeps in this season. They had trouble doing it on Sunday. The first 2 games, they outscored UCF 22-5. And then they lose the game on Sunday 5-1. Their bats were just nowhere. You had a couple of good games. You had a good game from Max McDowell on Sunday, and Vinny Sienna also got a couple of hits. But other than that, the bats were pretty much silent, a lot quieter than the first 2 games, obviously. So in terms of closing out series, that is something that they really should work on. And then, obviously this team is carried by their hitting. They're a small ball type team. They like to run the bases. A lot of their runs over this weekend were, they got them off of sac flies, bunting, just moving runners along, and that's really one of the ways that they score runs and win games. They're not a home run. They don't have a lot of power in their lineup, a lot of power threats other than possibly Blake Davey. So when you look at it, maybe probably just hitting the ball a bit more, trying to get guys on base rather than just relying on small ball and relying on the pitching, because Cross and K can't pitch every day.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, it's our job to nitpick the things that they don't do very well, but overall, they've been playing great. How far could they go this season?
Yeah, like I said, it wasn't very easy to pick one thing that they really need to work on, because this is an excellent UConn Husky baseball team. They are one of the best pitching staffs in the country, obviously the top team pitching-wise in the entire American. They have the best ERA. They lead they're second in strikeouts, which was surprising to me, but only one team has more strikeouts. Then they're a very balanced hitting team. Obviously, they're not hitting a lot of home runs, but it doesn't really matter for this UConn team because they do rely heavily on small ball. Jack Sundberg, the starting center fielder, is leading the conference in stolen bases, 22 bags on 25 attempts. Very good percentage. You got a good balance hitting-wise in the lineup. You got Junior Vinny Siena. He's 8th in the conference in batting average. He's batting .366. A guy to make a note on is freshman Willie Young, the starting third baseman. He's only a freshman, but he's 5th in the conference in batting average. He's batting .380 this year, and he's batting towards the bottom of the lineup. But when you're getting solid hitting and a solid average from guys batting towards the bottom of your lineup, 6 and the 7 guys, there's no stopping this UConn team. And then a final note on this team, they're the best defensive team in the American Conference. Their fielding percentage is .972. That is better than any team in the conference. So when you're not making errors, and in college, you're going to make mistakes. Hitters are going to strike out more, but when the ball's put in play, fielders will make a few more mistakes. Pitchers will leave a couple of breaking balls hanging a bit more often. But when you're not making mistakes on the field, when you're not making errors, that stops base runners from getting on base, and then inevitably that stops guys from scoring runs. And when you're stopping the other team from scoring runs, that's basically how you win baseball games.
Right. Expectations high for all UConn athletics. Baseball meeting, possibly exceeding those expectations. Thank you, Anthony. We'll be right back with UC Sports.
Fire, fire, burning bright. I feel your warmth despite the night. Oh, the smoke, the pillars so high. My vision blurred, a sight, a surprise. The forces of nature, the clash to break all ties. The courage of fighters must stay alive.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Few notes from around UConn. One, congratulations to Byron Jones. He was officially invited to the NFL draft. News broke about an hour ago. Hopefully he'll get selected in the first round, so great for him.
Definitely. And while we're on the topic of drafts, WNBA draft is coming up on Thursday. UConn's very own Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis and Keith Stokes both invited to attend the draft as well. Very prestigious. A UConn prospect has gone to the draft almost every year since its inception. And last year we saw teammates Steph Dolson and Bria Hartley going back-to-back. So hopefully something like that could happen this year. You never know. But that wraps it up for us here. Next week will be our final show of the school year. Very saddening for myself, Brandon, and the rest of us at UCTV here, but you're not going to want to miss this, so stay tuned for that. Alongside Brandon Carney, David P. Stein, Ivy Hoymoune, and Anthony DiBernardo, I'm William Richardson. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next week.